Well, from an injury standpoint, I think I said it on Monday, expected everybody back. Everybody should be with us. Marquez, Tip, all practice from Tuesday on. Josh practice all the way through. Actually, Wednesday's a heavy class day for Chase. We actually practiced early, and Josh ran the whole time with the ones. Him and Reggie really handled the workload with Chase Hayden as well. So excited where he's at. Caleb has continued to play well since Saturday, kick well. So I think he's fully recovered as we move forward. So we should be at full strength for an opportunity number 9. Very excited to get in our home crowd. One of 2 last home games here. I know there's a lot of talk about the ticket sales, so I think there's just a few remaining. So hopefully we can make that an official sellout and have a lot of things to be excited about in the challenge of Michigan State.
How do you anticipate weather could impact the game?
Yeah, weather can impact every game. That's the way you got to prepare every week. So early on, realized there was going to be the chance for some rain and wind. So we really kind of, because of the way Illinois is, you guys live here, it's everyday preparation. Coach Lundy pointed out last spring he thought he had enough wet ball work and wind weather work for him and Tommy to last a lifetime.
Since we talked Monday, 4 more suspensions came down for Michigan State. Like, how does that change who they are, if at all, and what's that like for you guys planning?
You know, obviously you play a scheme, right? But one thing we do put a huge emphasis on here, to your point, is who we're playing, right? There's a difference between the left guard and the right guard. There's a difference between the left tackle and right tackle. So I think our guys, of any group I've ever been around, are really wired into that. So it's been a little bit of an evolving, obviously there's that second wave that got suspended late Tuesday. So all the prep we'd done on Sunday and Monday for the players that we thought we were going to see are still good prep, right? I don't think they're going to change anything schematically, but we kind of just play who plays on Saturday and figure it out from there.
Coach, I heard you talk last night about the infrequency of this series. Otherwise, playing 2 times in the last 10 years. Would you rather have that, or would you like playing the team every year?
Well, I like divisional play. I think it's fun. Obviously, that could all change here in a little bit in this conference, but I didn't know the history of Michigan State. The only thing I was referencing last night is we didn't play them last year.
Okay.
So it's a Big Ten game, kind of like what Indiana was this year.
Right.
Obviously, we didn't fare well in that one. So they have the exact same record as Indiana right now. So I think there's a lot of things we've incorporated to show our guys, hey, anybody get anybody on any given Saturday. You play the team on Saturday. The 11 guys that show up between the lines is who we play.
You've only had about a handful of guys, freshmen, reach over the 4-game threshold. But has that gone to plan for you this year as you reach game 9?
I think what are we at, 5? I think 5 or 6. I believe there's 13 guys that have played, right, which is different from last year. I think one of the great learning experiences for me last year was, to get some guys in early that we thought could help us. If they could contribute for us on special teams. But I really kind of like a deciding point is, does this guy factor into a swim the line scrimmage? Is it worth his while? Or 3 years from now, are you going to be like, hey, I wish I had another year for him? So it's kind of played out. It was very easy to see Gabe Ackus,
Sure.
Matt Bailey, to a certain Hunter Whiteneck has continued to evolve. We've stayed fairly healthy at certain positions. Henry Boyer was at 2. He's full go rodeo this week. Aiden Lawfrey was right on the verge of playing. Unfortunately, he got an injury that has knocked him out for about 4 to 6 weeks, so he won't be with us. Jordan Anderson traveled last week, just didn't really have a chance to get him in the game. Malachi Hood will be up for this week as well. So one of the things that I think it really does is it allows, and then you're allowed by rule to take 74 guys to the hotel. We actually take 4 extra guys every week that don't stay at the hotel. They just take part in everything from our meetings to our dinner to our evening meetings. And get a feel of the hotel, just because I don't want next year to be the first experience for them. It allows us to kind of develop them without actually putting them in the moment.
It looks like Hunter's in the 2D on the offensive line.
Yeah.
We've seen him primarily, to your point, on special teams. How did you guys weigh that balance there of burning a red shirt with him, knowing that he's still in the 2D?
Phrase, don't burn a red shirt, right? Maximize an opportunity. I think there's connotation, seriously. A little thing like that, you have to, the value and the experience that he's getting this year, all the reps he's taken during practice. He may not get the reps on Saturday, right? But the value of that, and he has gotten in a few games, and to be quite honest, we want him down a little bit, right? So it's a motivating factor, like, hey, you get down to where I think you can play, Big Ten football, now you'll be on the field as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of things in play. It's not just a cut and dry, but I knew very early on we thought we'd want to get him in a position to play next year and play in our rotation. And at the end of the year, when things sometimes lean out a little bit, a guy that can come in and play.
Does Michigan State stress the secondary a little bit more than some of the other teams that you've played this year with their passing game?
Oh, yeah, heavens yes. I would say, Ryan very early on Sunday and Aaron Henry, these are a very talented group of receivers, not just one guy, 2 guys. I think they got a group, 3 or 4 guys. not only in the receiving game, number one is probably the most dynamic returner we faced all year. Really excited to see our guys rise to that challenge, and then they've got a good balanced offense, defense. I think they got a very efficient offensive line. Obviously, the quarterback has experience.
No football team will probably go injury-free during the season.
Mm-hmm.
But what has Tank Wright and his staff maybe done from an injury prevention standpoint?
You know, it's interesting. Tank and I were together at Arkansas. He was in an assistant role, right? And one thing Tank does is literally tries to learn every day and has a high threshold for just trying to take advantage of unforeseen things. It's not when it happens, it's trying to predict when it doesn't, it hasn't shown up when it can happen. And last summer, I gave him a lot of credit. He saw the type of offense we were running, what we were doing defensively, and felt we needed to take an uptick in our conditioning summer program. So we really jumped it to a new level. And I remember those first 4 weeks, a lot of our guys commenting on the volume of work. And I give them credit because obviously the byproduct of what we've been able to see this year. Sometimes injuries happen, to your point, but a lot of it, I think, is injury prevention and also the type of conditioning we do beforehand.
You got Daniel Barker coming back here, kind of an unusual situation.
Yeah.
What kind of reaction or what do you think will happen between him and you guys?
Yeah, DJ, very, very proud of what he accomplished here. Before I got here, he was an accomplished player. When we were here, he was a kid. Like last year on Friday mornings, I would meet with him every day, every Friday at 8 a.m. My wife would bring coffee for me, and she'd bring a drink for a DJ, and we just kind of had that moment every Friday. It was something I really enjoyed, and when he made the decision to get in the portal, wished him the best luck, said we'll take advantage of every opportunity that you can and help him through it. So obviously he landed in our conference. He's been able to accomplish some things up there. Hopefully he's found what he's looking for. But 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks from now, we're going to do the same thing with another player that used to be in our program. So it's kind of just college football now. It was really weird the year before, right? Like Art came in from Rutgers, right? And we had Rutgers on our schedule, and I knew that was going to be a thing in that moment, but it really didn't play out that way, anything more than it was just our team competing against theirs. So everybody knows DJ's number 9. He'll be out there on Saturday. He's a very, very talented player. I think our guys, one thing they probably didn't have to do is do a scouting report on him. They know who he is, right, and what he is, what his strengths are, and the things we got to be aware of.
Vegas, like,
Huh?
That's your friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
but you know what? I've told the guys, before this moment got here, we talked about it in the summer. Like in the NFL, you play against former teammates all the time, right? And it's kind of just that next step. I think it's a great warm-up phase for our guys. I think our guys have a lot of respect for DJ and vice versa, and I know I do.
Vegas likes Illinois a lot in this game. Do you look at the spread at all?
No, great question, but no, I don't for a variety of reasons. The only thing that comes up on radar, we actually have a service it's an analytics service that actually does take the line from Vegas in the equation, and I see it on the byline, right, of win condition. They take everything from win conditions to pace of game, different things, and for a scoring factor, they do factor that into it. But no, I don't really pay attention other than that.
You said Josh has practiced all week.
Yeah.
And indicated just kind of his confidence building back up. Where have you seen him develop on that front?
Josh is very, he wears a lot of things on his sleeves, right? It's very easy to see the mood of Josh by the way he walks, talks, functions. I think it was Tuesday night he came in, and it's not unusual for him to hit me up and say, Coach, you got a minute? Comes in my office, we'll talk for a bit. And he had some things on his mind about how he could take that next step, and he's continued to do that. I said, hey, we got a limited window here. I know I can't predict the future, but Chase probably has an opportunity to leave us at the end of this year. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. But like, there's a great saying in coaching, right, that seniors graduate, but tradition never does. And Chase Brown and Josh are completely different kind of players. They're both running backs. They both kind of have a burst, and they both have physicality, but they're kind of different players. But I told Josh one of the greatest things he can do is learn from a guy that I think prepares as good as any player I've ever been around, independent of position. And if he can learn that from Chase during this window of time, he's going to be a better player coming forward.
We haven't talked since Tuesday. Did you take advantage of maybe getting the Illinois brand on a national ESPN broadcast with the CFP rankings?
What you mean, just like with our
to see Illinois?
Yeah, it obviously, that day they kind of shot me a graphic and they had a ranking on it, and I was like, oh, this is out already, because I thought the show was at 6. Like, I took a break about 4:30, and they're like, no. Just want to show this is what we have in place for when it comes out. And I just give credit to Pat Hamilton and his staff. We had a barrage of media graphics, things that we obviously some of it we put out social media, but also things that went specifically to certain players. Like every week, if we're trying to reach a certain receiver, right, we'll hit anything we can statistically and send it to him, his parents, and everybody involved to show the way we've been able to throw the ball around this year, right, and things that are different. If we're going after running back, same deal. Offensive lineman, the recognition at Spoon. If there's a DB that I'm trying to target, I'm going to show, hey, here's a guy 2 years has done this. You got 2-year window. What can you do? So we try to maximize those every day.
Did they have the ranking right that they inserted as filling?
It was actually kind of a holder, so it was a ranking that was physically impossible to attain.
What do you think of 16? Was that?
You know what? I worry about things I can control.
Gotcha.
I think it was awesome for us to get rated. Something I didn't realize right when I took the job. I didn't. Hey, have we ever been ranked in the CFP? Right? I've never asked that question. I did tell my guys though that of all the rankings that we're talking about, that was the one I was excited to see. Right? Like to be in that conversation and realize where we're at and potentially where you can go. That's exciting to talk about.
That service you just mentioned that you use, how helpful is that in anticipating what the game will be? I don't know what.
Well, I've used it. I used it my last, for sure, 2 years, maybe my last 3 years at Arkansas. And then when I went to the NFL, I actually recommended it to the places I was at. And then it's really something that I've really enjoyed the evolution of it. It's a much better product than I believe it was back then. And then Ben Miller, as he's been more engaged, he and I kind of use that. We have meetings on Friday nights with our coordinators where I really use that. Some of our fourth down efficiency and the way we've been able to maximize those type of situations is a direct result of that service.
Thanks, guys.